All right, we are live after a 2-minute delay figuring out how to turn the Hangout on from YouTube, but figure that out. Just going to wait for some people to pop in here, and then we will get started. Just looking for something here. I'm just going to give it a minute or two as I'm tinkering around here. Should this be another minute? And I'm just going to wait till 8:05 and then I'll get rolling here. Like I said, I scheduled this through YouTube's interface instead of the Hangouts interface, and it doesn't give me an option for the Q&A portion for some reason. I do have group chat turned on though, so if you have any questions as we're getting rolling, you can ask through group chat, and we'll go from there. All right, so it's 8:05 right now, and in the interest of time, I'm just going to go ahead and get things rolling. Just pull this up here. And let's see, just give me one more moment here. Sorry about that. All right. So, hello everyone and welcome. I hope everyone's having a great week so far. Before we get started into the questions, I wanted to briefly mention the continuation group. For those of you in the regular EFL class that are not currently in the continuation group, your class is ending in a little over a week. The class is set up to have a continuation group where you essentially just move from the weekly format into a group that just continues everything we've learned and applies it and works together, to continue to move through our goals. There's a link with more information in your weekly sticky post, and if you have any questions about it, please feel free to ask me. So I specifically wanted to mention that because the first question that was asked for this week was related. Lagata Blanca asked, how long should we continue with the same goals? MyFitnessPal is already asking if I'd like to change my settings. So the short answer is please ignore MyFitnessPal for everything other than actually tracking your calories and your protein. It's going to tell you things like you're too high in this or too low in this, or change your settings, or you're not losing weight fast enough. We want to just ignore that, and we want to use it for what it is intended for this class, which is just to track your macros and your calories, and that's basically it. And anything else you care to track. But as far as its suggestions, please ignore those for now. We really don't want to change your goals until they have verifiably and objectively stopped working at all. And that goes for both scale and measurements. And that means no progress in either of those or regression in either of those for multiple weeks in a row. So related to that, if you're in the class that's ending next week, I will provide you some general guidelines about how to adjust things on your own if you choose not to continue with the continuation group after the 8th week. Simplification of that is if the scale and the measurements don't move down for more than 2 weeks in a row, and there doesn't seem to be a downward trend, then I'd probably leave your protein where it is, and I'd adjust your calories down 100 to 200 calories, and then wait and see if things change in response. Those calories would probably come from carbs, just so you feel full more. And I wouldn't go more than that and change. Probably start with 100 just to be conservative. I'd caution against preemptively lowering your calories, mostly because you want to eke out every single thing, every single amount of progress you can from your current calorie goals before you start lowering them. And secondly, if you do start to lower them too soon, there is going to be a point where you can't lower them anymore, at which point, you'd essentially be starving yourself. Now, it's not really like starvation in that you're going to go to the hospital from not eating enough. It's more of like, there's really nothing you can eat in any amount to make yourself feel full and be okay with that calorie amount. So like I said, I believe it's best to be overly cautious about lowering them prior to where it's absolutely necessary. I believe that covers that topic. So just to summarize, don't listen to MyFitnessPal when it tells you you're not losing weight fast enough and you should start lowering your goals. You certainly could do that. It's just that it's not going to be sustainable, or it might be too fast, and you're probably going to hit rather sharp hunger if you listen to them every step of the way. So, all right. Well, the next question is from Danny, and it's about pre-workouts, pre-workout supplements. Danny asks, how do you feel about pre-workouts? I've been using it for about a year. No crazy side effects, but people have 1,000,001 opinions about it. I'd figure I'd ask why. Pre-workout supplements are one of those things where people have an individualized response to them. The reason why there's 1,000,001 opinions about it is because there's 1,000,001 different pre-workout supplements with 1,000,001 different ingredients. That type of stuff is not regulated in the US by the FDA. So anyone can make up something called a proprietary blend, and they can put anything they want in there. And if you follow some of the fitness-related news, recently supplement companies have been putting anabolic steroids and things like that in there, sneaking them in. I used to take a pre-workout supplement, but it wasn't one that was made by a company that was packaged with some like Jackhammer or Jacked or anything like that. I just had the basic ingredients. I bought the basic ingredients as is, like caffeine pills or something like beta alanine, and I'd take that prior to a workout. And for a long time, that worked for me. But I always did kind of feel like it changed my mood and how I approached the workout. And this might sound like a really weird answer, but I figured it may help someone. So I'm just going to go into it. So I would take caffeine pills, take beta alanine, and then I'd get all pumped out, where my workout was like, all right, I'm in the zone. I'm going to do this. I'm really pumped up about it. I'm going to listen to the angriest music possible, as loud as I possibly can. I'm going to growl. I'm going to shout. And that didn't matter because I work out in my own basement, and the only person that I really ever bother would be my cat or my family upstairs. So that wasn't really a big deal. That wasn't ideal for me. So after a few years of that, I found that I had better results, both in my workouts, in my mood stabilization across an entire day, and when I scaled back on my caffeine intake overall. I just felt better, and when I needed caffeine for other reasons, it was a little bit more potent when I needed it, rather than drinking coffee all day and then taking caffeine pills before my workout. Just felt better there. So I essentially stopped taking any pre-workouts, and I changed my mentality as to how I approached working out. So before, I was angry. It was working out is for me has always been a way to relieve stress, but it was kind of like I would get my anger out from the day and my frustration through the workout. And it was all maximum intensity, like vein bursting, all that stuff. But I've switched that, and it's been more of a Zen approach to weightlifting, where I would prefer to listen to classical music or even pop music or nothing at all, pure silence. I maintain a high intensity, but I don't put so much emotion into the workout, where it's almost like I can kind of see myself doing the workout and I'm going through the motions. There's still that high intensity, but I've kind of removed the emotion from it. And I feel like I get a better workout that way, and I recover better that way. And I'm not so hopped up on caffeine that, I feel a lot better overall from doing so. And like I said, I know that's a weird answer. The reason there is a million and one opinions is because there's so many different supplements with so many different ingredients, many of which do not have to be disclosed on the label. So people could be taking the doses wrong of different ingredients they've never tried before. They could be interacting with their medicine. So that's why there's a lot of confusion over pre-workout supplements. My general rule for anything like that is if you are using something and it works for you and it makes you happy, go for it. As long as you're not making sacrifices financially to pay for something, then it's fine. I'd say don't really worry about it. Like I said, personally, I'm cheap to begin with, so I never actually bought some prepackaged supplement. I just bought the basic ingredients and kind of made my own. But I found that over time, it really wasn't doing me as good as I thought it was. And I don't know that I would go back anytime soon. I kind of enjoy having a more Zen workout. So hopefully that answers your question. Let's take a look here. All right, I have group chat turned on. Those were the two primary questions that I saw asked in both across both groups. So if there are any other questions out there, please type them in group chat through the Hangout. And I have one more thing I wanted to briefly address. And this is, the holiday season's coming up. Thanksgiving, U.S. Thanksgiving, I should say. I know Canadians had their Thanksgiving last month, but U.S. Thanksgiving is coming up, and the December holiday season with multiple holidays there, depending on your beliefs, are coming up. And a lot of times, most people, this is common, will kind of think the holiday season starts the day before Thanksgiving and ends the day after New Year's. And I used to be the same way, so that's the reason I'm bringing it up. I like to look at those holidays as single meal events, meaning I do what I normally do on Thanksgiving Day until Thanksgiving dinner. I don't, do anything crazy or different or pig out or eat cookies all for breakfast or anything like that. I just do what I normally do, stick to my habits, and then I just treat it like a normal meal. Yes, I have dessert. Yes, I enjoy myself. No, I don't try to count calories or macros or even estimate portions. I probably eat past the point of being full, but the next day I just return to my normal habits. It's not, it's not like Wednesday night starts. I don't care. I'm going to do whatever. And then it lasts for the whole weekend. And then I'm just, like I said, I'm right back on to my routine the next day. Same thing with Christmas. I used to be like, I usually end up taking off from like the day before Christmas Eve all the way through New Year's. And my daughter's birthday is right after Christmas too. So previous years, I would from the day before Christmas Eve until after New Year's. And that usually meant that I would put on 20 to 25 pounds on the scale. And I know the majority of that was water weight. By the end of it, I just felt awful. So I treat the holidays as single meal events. I use some of the strategies that we use all the time. Sometimes I'll fast for breakfast. Sometimes I'll just have a high protein and vegetable lunch beforehand. Sometimes I just will chalk it up as it was a social event. There's nothing I can do. It's one day. Don't worry about it. But I don't string those together and say, let's just say that I have a Christmas party on Friday and a Christmas party on Sunday. That doesn't mean that Saturday is do whatever. It just means that those are single events and they need to be separated rather than chained together, because chaining things together like that is how you fall out of habit. So similarly to how we want to chain good habits together and form that unbroken chain of having a habit formed, if you start to chain together the things that break your habit, it'll be harder to reestablish those habits, and it will essentially undo all of your work. That's the one thing that can undo all of your hard work, is chaining together social events like that as an excuse, where it's like, okay, I have a party on Friday, party on Sunday. Why would I bother caring what I do on Saturday? I'm just going to do whatever. So that's one thing I wanted to mention. So that the phrase for that is single meal events. I think that may help. It's not a bad time to start kind of thinking about how you want to handle that. Obviously people are probably still going to eat leftovers on Friday. I'm probably going to be one of them. But at that point, I might just try to estimate, what I'm eating and just go from there. So, and that I realize that that's going to open a discussion, and that's kind of the intention. So if you have specific questions and want some assistance in kind of working that out, how that applies to your specific situation, please bring it up in group. We can kind of talk through that. All right. I don't see any questions asked in group chat. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flip back over to the Photocracy groups and cycle through them and see if any other questions were asked. And then we'll go from there. If nothing was asked, then we'll just call it a night. There were some other questions that were seemingly asked, but they were really not suitable to be generalized. They were very specific situations that needed the answers were very specific to one person. So I feel like I've replied to you. So if you need some clarification, please we'll go back and forth and go from there about your specific situation. All right, I don't see any in there. I'm gonna check one more place. Alrighty, that about covers it. Looks like we have a short one this week, and that's okay. I believe we'll still have a hangout next week. I don't see any reasons why not to. Probably will be Tuesday again. And as always, I know usually people come up with questions after the hangout ends, so please feel free to post them. And as always, I'll talk to you guys soon. Everyone have a good night. Thank you.